So this is the YoyoFactory Edge 2022, or as I like to call it, the Edge Eternity, but I feel like YoyoFactory is going to use that for a different yo-yo at some point, so may as well just call it by its actual name. This is Evan NAGAO's signature yo-yo, and if you don't know who Evan NAGAO is, well, he's pretty popular in the yo-yoing community. He's known for being a very charismatic, a very enthusiastic player, but this wasn't his first signature yo-yo, so hold on to your shit because there's quite a lot of them. First we got the Edge, the original one. Then we got the Edge Beyond, the beefier bimetal one. Then we got the Ko'olau Edge, the first monometal one. Then we got the Edge Monster, the really wide monometal one. The Poly Edge, the hybrid one that everyone might have forgotten about. The Wedge, the polycarbonate one. The POM Edge, the Delrin one. The Edgeless, the really soft organic one. The Edge Infinity, the second place one. The Edge Ultimatum, the biggest monometal one. I can't confirm this one, but it's the prototype that never came out. And the Edge 2022, the updated one. Oh, and also the Edge FS, the newest monometal one. So with all that out of the way, how does this yo-yo stack up? So I've had this yo-yo for about 3 months, and I've been trying to see every detail I could find while using this throw. And here's what I've come up with so far. My first impression on this was quite literally, that shit looks cool. I really thought this yo-yo was the sequel that the Edge really needed. Something that isn't far off from its original design, but still manages to really amp up its performance by a decent margin. But honestly, when I first got the yo-yo, my expectations of how good this was supposed to play didn't really add up at first. The throw felt like it lost its spin too quickly, and the overall experience with the yo-yo wasn't exactly fun. But when I checked the yo-yo's parts, I found that it had a faulty bearing. So I replaced it with a better center track, and it plays just as well as I expected it to in the first place. Recently, I think of this throw as a solid bimetal. I wouldn't think of it as the best out there, but I think this is one of the better ones that have come out in recent years. But with that being said, what about its characteristics? For binds, well, it's a 7 out of 10. The binds don't feel that unique, but it does have a wider than usual gap, so that means it doesn't usually snag, which is already a decent plus to this whole thing, so yeah, that's that. For comfort, we got an 8 out of 10. You see, there's this extra bump that wasn't on the original Edge, and that really helps with this throw to be a lot more comfy on your hand, and it just makes it feel a lot more ergonomic. For build quality, we got a 9 out of 10. Well, build quality is pretty obvious. I mean, this is a YoyoFactory yo-yo after all. So their standard builds for the throws are usually pretty solid, so pretty straightforward, 9 out of 10. Durability is more of a 6 out of 10. You see, most bimetals have a thin build on them, and the 2022 isn't far off from that. What YoyoFactory did right was, at the center of the cup, there's a more of a arching dimple than a straight cut one, and usually that's a pretty good sign. Because when you see those dimples and you see them having a straight cut, that is usually a weak point. What I mean by a weak point is that whenever a yo-yo hits the floor or hits any hard surface, the part with the thinnest part of metal is usually the first one to dent. It's the weakest point of the yo-yo. So what YoyoFactory did right was that they turned it into an arch instead of a straight cut, and that makes it just a little bit more durable. And while the yo-yo still is quite thin, because it is a bimetal, so they try to push as much weight as they can to the edge, it makes a lot more sense. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. For finishing grinds, well, it's an 8 out of 10. It is still YoyoFactory, and they usually have good finishes on their yo-yo, so that's pretty much it, an 8 out of 10. For rejections, I'd say it's a solid 7 out of 10. While wider yo-yos tend to be a lot more hard to reject, this yo-yo is fairly okay at it, so that's pretty much it, just a 7 out of 10. Smoothness on the string is a 9 out of 10, pretty straightforward because it is a pretty premium yo-yo, so it's okay. For catchability, this is actually really good, it's a 10 out of 10. It's wide enough that it catches a lot of your riskier tricks, but it's still controlled enough that you can still do your tech tricks pretty easily. I really like how you can catch this yo-yo at really tight angles, but you can still do a lot of your, hooks, I guess. So that's that, catchability 10 out of 10. For power, I'd say it's a 9 out of 10. Nothing much to say about the yo-yo's power on this one, it is a bimetal, but I do have to say that since it is a more of an inner rim bimetal, It's not exactly at the very edge. I wouldn't compare the power on this one to a more of an extreme weight distributed yo-yo. So yeah, it's an okay yo-yo, but it is pretty powerful for how it's designed. So it's a solid 9 out of 10. For momentum, it's a 7 out of 10, pretty straightforward. It is quite nimble for a larger yo-yo because this does feel quite large on a certain extent, but it still manages to be quite nimble and quite light actually. And at the weight scale, it is on the lighter scale, so it's pretty good. A 7 out of 10. For speed, it's a 7 out of 10. Since the yo-yo is quite nimble and it is quite light, it's actually quite easy to go up to speed on this yo-yo. So I'd say it's a pretty solid 7 out of 10, since it is a more of a powerful throw than a lighter throw. So I'd say it's a pretty good balance, but less than the speed side. Stability-wise, it's a 9 out of 10. It's just a competitive yo-yo, so it already puts it at a really high level of stability. So yeah, that's that. 9 out of 10. For horizontal, well, it's a 10 out of 10, and I'll let you see for yourself. So with that out of the way, how does it stack up in a more physical sense? So first off, here are the specs. For size comparisons, these are our basis yo-yos. We have the Edge, the Edge Monster, and the Edge Beyond. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid yo-yo. It's not the worst, and it's not the best. It's a pretty good standard for a bimetal. Although for that price, I'd say you can find better options. It's not the most fun yo-yo, I'd say. Also, for that price, I'd say you can get a little bit more better throws out there. But for what it is, it's pretty good. It's pretty good up to the original Edge. So I'm really liking this so far. This is pretty good, I'd say, I guess. Would I recommend this yo-yo? Yeah, of course I would. It's the Edge. And for the tier list, I'd say this is a really competitive yo-yo. But for that price, I think you could get a little bit more better value for that price than the Edge 2022. But if you do want a good upgrade to the original Edge, I think this is a really good upgrade to the original Edge if you are looking for something better for your collection. So yeah, I think this is for those people that want an upgrade to the original Edge. So thank you guys for watching. This is my first time trying this type of recording. I'm recording this a lot on improv, and a little bit of an update for you guys. I don't usually do these scripts on improv. I usually do these while I write them down and then I record them. So this is a little bit more of an update for you guys because I'm trying to be a little bit more fun. Just trying to make my videos a little bit more fun for you guys. But I am also going to try to make more of an enjoyable type of content for you guys. Just so that, you know, it's a little bit more fun to watch my videos instead of just like listening to it like a podcast or something. So yeah, that's that. Hope you guys liked the video and I'll see you on the next one.